My name is Ayaan, and I am 12 years old. I never thought my life could change so quickly. My father used to be the center of our home. His laughter, his strong voice, and his gentle hugs made everything feel safe. He was always there, guiding us, protecting us, and loving us in his quiet, strong way. But one morning, everything changed forever. The house was unusually quiet. The usual sounds of my father's footsteps, his cheerful greetings, and the small noises of daily life were all gone. My mother sat on the floor, her face pale and tense, holding her head with both hands. My little sister clung to her, crying softly, and I did not understand why. I only knew something had gone terribly wrong. Then my uncle came, and his words cut through the silence like a knife. "Your father is gone. He will not come back," he said softly. At that moment, I felt a strange emptiness. I could not cry, could not speak, could not move. I waited for the door to open in the evening, hoping it was just a bad dream. I waited for my father to come home tired, as always, with a smile on his face, asking about our day. But the door stayed closed, and the house remained silent. The absence of his presence created a hollow feeling in my heart that I could not describe. Days passed, and I saw my mother change. She stopped smiling altogether. Her shoulders became heavier, her steps slower, and her hands rough with work. She woke up before sunrise and went to bed long after we were asleep, taking on jobs that left her exhausted, all to keep our family afloat. She never cried in front of us, but at night, when the house was dark and quiet, I could hear her soft, muffled sobs. My little sister asked questions that my mother could not answer. "When will Baba come back?" she would ask. My mother would hug her tightly, whispering, "He is watching us from heaven," but her eyes betrayed the pain she was hiding. I did not want my sister to see me cry, so I turned my face away, staring at the walls, feeling as if the walls themselves understood my grief. School became a challenge. Before, my father used to walk me to school, holding my hand, helping me with small problems, cheering me on when I struggled with homework or felt tired. Now I walked alone. Other children laughed, shared stories of their fathers buying them gifts, helping with schoolwork, or protecting them when they got into fights. I kept quiet, feeling different, isolated, and broken. I watched my classmates enjoy what I had lost. One day, a boy in my class pointed at me and laughed, "You don't have a father." His words pierced my heart. I wanted to scream, to fight, to defend myself, but I remembered my mother's tired face and the sacrifices she was making for us. I walked away silently, swallowing my anger and sadness, feeling a small part of myself die a little more. At home, life became simpler. Meals were modest, sometimes only bread and tea, and the small luxuries we once enjoyed were gone. My sister would sit quietly, missing the attention and care our father gave her. She would ask questions about him, questions my mother could not answer completely. Each time, my mother's hugs grew tighter, as if she were trying to protect us from the reality of our loss. I tried to comfort my sister, but I, too, felt lost and unsure. Nights were the hardest. I would lie awake in my bed, staring at the ceiling, imagining my father's face, his voice, the way he would ruffle my hair when I was nervous or upset. I began to talk to him silently in my heart, telling him about my day, my worries, my dreams, and my failures. I told him about school, about my friends, about the teasing I endured, and about the sadness that seemed to follow me everywhere. I wished he could guide me, tell me what to do, give me advice, or simply tell me it would all be okay. The silence of his absence was loud and suffocating. Slowly, I began to notice the strength in my mother. She became both mother and father to us, taking on responsibilities she never imagined, showing resilience I had never seen before. She worked tirelessly, yet she never allowed herself to give up. Her determination inspired me, even though I was still grieving. I realized that life without a father was full of hardships, but it also taught me lessons about responsibility, courage, and endurance. One night, as I looked at the stars, I made a promise to myself. I promised that I would study hard, do well in school, and become strong. I promised to protect my sister, support my mother, and make sure our family stayed together. I wanted to grow into someone who could face life without fear, someone who could fill the void left by my father with love, courage, and determination. I knew it would not be easy. Life without a father meant facing challenges every day, learning to be strong before my time, and carrying burdens that children should never bear. But I also knew that giving up was not an option. My mother's eyes, filled with quiet strength, reminded me that we could survive, that we could grow, and that we could find hope even in sadness. From that day on, I decided to take life one step at a time, embracing the struggle, and learning to live in a world that had suddenly become harder and lonelier. Life without a father had begun, but I was determined to turn my pain into strength, my sorrow into courage, and my loss into a journey of hope. This expanded version is now around 800 words and maintains the emotional depth, simple English, and storytelling flow. If you want, I can also expand episode 2 in the same style, showing Ayaan facing school challenges and finding hope. Life after my father's death was becoming clearer with each passing day, but the reality still felt heavy on my shoulders. I woke up early every morning, sometimes before the sun, and watched my mother leave for work, tired but determined. I could see the fatigue in her eyes, but also a stubborn strength that made me want to be strong too. I had started to take on responsibilities I never imagined a 12-year-old would face. I helped my little sister get ready for school, prepared breakfast, and even managed small household chores. It was not easy, and most days I felt exhausted, but I knew my family needed me, and that gave me purpose. School was a constant challenge. Without my father, I felt invisible at times, like the world had moved on and left me behind. Some students were kind and friendly, but others reminded me daily of what I had lost. Every comment about fathers, every story about weekend trips or birthday gifts, cut me deep. I tried to smile, to hide my sadness, but the pain lingered. One day, the boy who had mocked me before pushed me while I walked in the hallway. "Hey, you don't have a dad to protect you," he sneered. My first instinct was to hit him, to show him I was not weak, but I paused. I remembered my mother, her tired but strong face, and the promise I had made to myself. I took a deep breath, stepped aside, and walked away. It was hard, but I realized that strength was not always about fighting, it was about controlling myself, standing tall, and proving my worth in other ways. Homework and studies became my refuge. I spent hours reading, writing, and trying to focus on my lessons. Sometimes, I would sit alone under a tree in the schoolyard, thinking about my father and imagining how proud he would have been if he could see me working hard, trying to grow up fast to help my family. My mother noticed my efforts and, although she never praised me much, she would smile softly, her eyes showing gratitude and relief. That small smile gave me more energy than anything else. It made me believe that even though life had taken my father away, it had not taken hope. At home, life remained simple. We could not afford luxuries, and sometimes even small pleasures seemed impossible. But my mother never let us feel deprived. She worked tirelessly to make sure we had enough food, clean clothes, and a safe home. Her sacrifices were immense, and I began to understand what it truly meant to be selfless. I started helping more around the house, washing dishes, cleaning the floor, and even helping my sister with her homework. These small actions, though tiring, made me feel useful and connected to my family. I realized that strength was not only about physical power but also about love, patience, and persistence. The evenings were the hardest. After finishing all my work and homework, I would sit quietly, looking at the stars, thinking about my father. I missed him deeply. I missed his laughter, his advice, and even his small frustrations that once seemed so ordinary. I told him in my heart about my day, my struggles, and my dreams. I wished he could guide me, tell me what was right and wrong, and remind me that everything would be okay. These conversations, though silent, brought me comfort. They made me feel that, in some way, he was still watching over us, still protecting us. One evening, my mother came home earlier than usual. Her eyes looked tired, but her voice was soft and gentle. She said, "Ayaan, I know this is hard, but you are stronger than you think. I see it every day." Her words struck me deeply. For the first time, I realized that she believed in me, not just as her son, but as a young man capable of facing the challenges of life. That night, I lay awake, thinking about what I wanted for myself and my family. I promised again to be strong, to study hard, and to protect my sister. I wanted to be someone my father would have been proud of, someone who could support my mother and keep our family together. Life without a father was teaching me lessons I never expected to learn so soon. I was learning responsibility, resilience, patience, and empathy. I was learning to face cruelty and mockery without letting it destroy me. I was learning to appreciate the small moments of happiness, like a warm meal, a kind word from a friend, or my mother's soft smile. I began to see that even in pain, there is strength, and even in loss, there is hope. Slowly, I started to feel more confident. I raised my hand in class more often, tried to help other students when they struggled, and even made a few friends who respected me for my determination and kindness. Every small achievement, every kind word, and every smile from my mother gave me courage. I realized that life without a father was hard, but it was also shaping me into a stronger person, someone who could survive, grow, and find happiness despite challenges. I knew the journey ahead would be long and difficult. There would be days when sadness would overwhelm me, and nights when loneliness would feel unbearable. But I also knew that I was not completely alone. My mother's strength, my sister's innocence, and my own determination gave me a reason to keep moving forward. I had started to understand that life does not always give you what you want, but it gives you the opportunity to rise above difficulties and become stronger. That realization changed everything. I was no longer just a boy without a father. I was Ayaan, a young boy learning to carry the weight of life, to face challenges bravely, and to protect the people I loved. I had accepted that my father would never return, but I had also decided that his absence would not define me. I would honor his memory by growing, learning, and becoming the person he would have been proud of. Life without a father was still hard, but it was no longer hopeless. It was a journey, and I was ready to walk it, step by step, with courage in my heart and hope in my soul. Life continued to move forward, slowly but surely, and I began to understand that each day brought new challenges and lessons. By now, I had settled into a routine, but it was never easy. Every morning, I woke up before the sun and got my little sister ready for school. I prepared breakfast, helped her with her homework, and then hurried to get myself ready. Sometimes, I felt tired before the day even began, but I reminded myself that my family needed me. My mother was working long hours, and I could see the strain in her eyes, the small lines of worry that had appeared over time. She never complained, never showed weakness in front of us, but I knew the price she paid every day to keep our family going. I wanted to help, to ease her burden, even if it meant growing up faster than other children my age. School remained both a challenge and a refuge. I had made a few friends who were kind and supportive, and their presence made the day a little lighter. Yet, there were still moments that reminded me of my loss. I heard classmates talking about their fathers taking them to parks, helping with projects, or buying gifts. Those conversations made my chest ache, but I had learned to hide my pain behind a calm expression. The boy who had teased me before still sometimes made cruel remarks, but I had learned to ignore him or walk away. I realized that life would always have difficulties, but I could choose how to respond. Strength was not just in fighting back, it was in staying calm, moving forward, and focusing on what I could control. Homework and studies became more than just schoolwork, they became my escape. I would sit under a tree during lunch breaks, reading my books, imagining my father sitting beside me, smiling proudly. I often talked to him silently, sharing my day, my small achievements, and even my fears. Those moments were comforting, as if he was still there in spirit, guiding me quietly. I had started to dream bigger. I wanted to do well in school, not just for myself, but to support my mother and little sister. I wanted to show them that even without a father, life could be faced with courage, determination, and hope. At home, life was simple but filled with love. My mother worked tirelessly, often coming home late, exhausted, yet she never let her fatigue affect us. She would still make time to ask about our day, to smile softly, and sometimes to sit with me for a few minutes before we all went to bed. Those moments, though brief, reminded me of the importance of family and love. I had learned to help more around the house, cleaning, cooking, and making sure my sister had everything she needed. Each small act made me feel useful and gave me a sense of pride. I realized that being responsible and helpful was one way to honor my father's memory. Life without a father also taught me patience and resilience. There were days when I felt overwhelmed, frustrated, or lonely. Nights were sometimes the hardest. I would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the father I had lost, the life I had, and the future I wanted to create. I missed his voice, his advice, and his comforting presence. I talked to him in my heart, sharing my worries and my hopes. Those quiet conversations gave me strength and reminded me that even though he was gone, his love still guided me. One day, something unexpected happened. During a school project, I had to work in a team with students I barely knew. At first, I was nervous, thinking they might judge me or tease me for my family situation. But as we worked together, I realized they respected my ideas and efforts. I contributed my best, and the team appreciated it. That experience taught me an important lesson. Life would not always be easy, but if I gave my best and stayed determined, people would notice and value me. It gave me confidence and a sense of purpose. Over time, I started to see hope everywhere. My sister began to smile more often, my mother's fatigue seemed lighter when we helped each other, and I began to feel a sense of accomplishment in small things. I had learned to manage responsibilities, face challenges, and take care of my family. Life without a father was difficult, yes, but it had also made me stronger, more compassionate, and more determined. I realized that strength is not about what we lack, but about how we face what we have. I also began to understand the power of dreams. I wanted to study hard and build a future where my family would be comfortable, happy, and proud. I wanted to make sure my mother never had to worry about us alone, and I wanted to show my sister that she could grow up brave, confident, and strong, no matter what life threw at her. I knew the journey ahead would be long and full of obstacles, but I was ready to face it. I had already faced one of the hardest things a child could experience, the loss of a parent, and I had survived. That survival gave me courage and determination like nothing else could. By the end of each day, when I lay in bed, I felt a quiet sense of achievement. I had faced challenges, helped my family, learned patience, and grown stronger. Life without a father was still hard, but it had taught me lessons that no school could teach. It had taught me love, resilience, responsibility, hope, and the importance of family. I knew I had a long way to go, but I also knew that I was not helpless. I had the strength within me to face life's difficulties, protect my loved ones, and build a future filled with hope. I was no longer just a boy without a father. I was a young man learning to face life with courage, love, and determination. I had learned that even in the deepest sadness, hope could grow, and even in loss, strength could rise. Life without a father had begun, but I was ready to continue the journey, step by step, carrying my family, my dreams, and my father's memory in my heart.